Check, check. Holy moly, I'm such a big fan of all of this technology that we have. Welcome to LinkedIn Live. Welcome to Facebook Live. Welcome to YouTube Live. Apparently, we're all live. So, very big thank you for being here. Really appreciate your support. And let's just jump right into it. Today, we're having a discussion. Feel free to enter comments into the sidebar there, answer any questions that you might have about commercial real estate brokerage. You may know that we have a commercial real estate course. It's called CRE Pro course. That CRE Pro course is going to teach you everything that you need to know to increase your brokerage abilities, increase your knowledge of commercial real estate brokerage. It's the first of many steps that we recommend taking in order to amplify the deal flow that you're seeing every year, amplify the service that you provide to your customers, and ultimately leads to a bigger, better career for you to enjoy more time with your friends, family, do the things that you really love to do. You know, I was just thinking about today, I love talking about real estate. I love talking about real estate even when I'm not thinking or working in real estate. So I know it's a passion of mine. When I drive down the street or when I fly over a city, or where I speed by on a train, I'm always thinking in my mind, you know, somebody owns each one of these buildings, right? It could be a corporation. It could be an individual owner. I think about who those people are, what their motivations are, how they came into buying, leasing, or occupying the building. So all of those things are part of the real estate, commercial real estate profession. And then past that, it's just providing service. So ultimately, the goal of the commercial real estate professional is to provide service to your clients, your customers, the other brokers on the other side, the owners on the other side, right? A deal makes sense when it makes sense to both parties. Nobody wants to feel like they one up to the other one, or hopefully both of them think that they got a good deal out of it. Nobody wants to feel slighted, like they were taken advantage of. Because realistically, in this business, there are so many times that you're going to come together with the same broker on the other side of the table. You don't want a cantankerous relationship with somebody else, so that the next time that you need something, next time that you reach out to them because they have a property for sale, for lease, you want to buy it, you want to sell it, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you are dealing with people fairly, honestly, you're trustworthy. All of these things carry over on our industry. We found oftentimes in the CRE Pro that not all industries are like that, right? Sometimes we deal with some people who are not as straightforward as we're used to in the commercial real estate business, right? Everybody, it does attract people who are a little bit, I find, a little bit smarter, a little bit more cunning. The stakes are higher, so it always reminds me in the office where they're talking, Jim and Michael and another hotshot salesman are talking about what they really, you know, what their golden castle, what they really want to do, what their big thing is, what they really like to do in their lives. And one of the guys says, you know, I really like to sell an airplane. And I think that was sort of a metaphor for paper is great, but I'd love to sell something really big, you know, something super complex. And that's the evolution of real estate, I believe. So a lot of times you're going to find that when you look at a deal, when you look at an industry, when you look at working for somebody new, with somebody new, it adds a new element of complexity. Oftentimes, and I believe this should be true all the time, but it is deals that are more complicated should be more heavily compensated, right? And sometimes in some of commercial real estate, it's an easy transaction, as in there's no, what they say, hair on the deal. So it's very straightforward. Everybody knows exactly what they're getting, what they're paying. It closes on time. it's well funded, so on and so forth. That, it doesn't happen all the time, doesn't even happen majority of the time. But when it does happen, I find at times there's less value there. Oftentimes that's because the brokers like yourselves, or um, agents, or owners are more well versed. It's not their first rodeo, as they say. So I tend to find that those that are more experienced make it seem like a fluid and easy transaction because they're well prepared. They know what they're doing. But sometimes it's a very complex deal, right? It's wrapped up in many different entities, trusts, and there's a lot of hair on the deal. And when that happens, those people should be more highly compensated. And what we try to do in the CRE Pro course is we prepare you for deals that are not always straightforward because you're providing more value to your customer and your client. The way that I discern those two things is a customer is somebody who has repeat business. Excuse me. A client is somebody who has repeat business with you. A customer could be a simple transaction, right? So it could be your first time working with them. After you do a few deals, or even after you do one deal, now they are actually your client. Prior to that, they're a prospect. Prior to that, they're a target, or they're a potential. But once you actually form a relationship, actually maybe even have it in a contract, and you're working with them specifically, as it happens in real estate, we must align our values and our actions with that of our client. So you want to work with people who are also trustworthy. Everybody's trying to get a good deal, right? And a good deal is going to mean different things for different people. There's different values, different sets that people have on a particular property, a particular deal. And so oftentimes you come across something, and you and as you should, as a hardworking real estate agent or broker, you're going to come across a deal that you're like, wow, this is an amazing opportunity. Well, do they not know what it's valued at, or is there something wrong with it? Well, sometimes it's just fortuitous, right? Sometimes you come upon, after doing due diligence and hard work and prospecting and marketing and all the things, the outbounding, the inbounding, all the things that we do in order to generate business. Sometimes you come across a deal and you say, this has got to be too good to be true. I got to call my best client, my best customer. I got to get them on the phone. I got to tell them all about this really new great thing. And there's no way that this is a real deal, or the buyer or seller doesn't know what they have. Well, that's not necessarily true. Sometimes somebody needs it for something else, right? So people are freeing up capital right now for the 1031 exchange. They're trying to close out deals or get deals going before the end of the year. So a lot of times it's just timing. It's, right, it's a balance between need and time. So sometimes people need to identify the property or close on the property in a 1031, for example, or they need capital for something else, right? They have an improvement they want to make to another building, so they can set. So there's always motivation. It's our job as a real estate broker or real estate agent to find out, to determine what the motivation is on both sides, and then match those things together, right? So if a quick close means it has value for the other side of the transaction, well, then, you should do your best to leverage that fact to determine where what value the other side places on it. If you can do it faster, they can identify a property, or they can buy a property, they can take advantage of something. It has more value to them. If they can stretch it out and they can wait it out, well, not as much value to them, and thus they're going to be more difficult on price, for example, or closing time, or criteria, or concessions, or whatever it is. So just remember that everybody has a motivation behind what they're doing. Sometimes it's important as someone's consultant to think about both sides of the table. Oftentimes I find as a broker of anything really is we are middlemen and middle women of a transaction. We are sort of a filter at some point. You want to convey the sentiment. You want to convey the need or the desire of your client, but more so you need to identify the need of both sides, and then help both the other side of the transaction, their broker, understand the need of your client without being so expressly saying so, really our job is to facilitate a deal. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of our client, but we also want to make sure that we are providing the other side the opportunity to do the same for theirs. So I always suggest, doing the due diligence, but also, just taking a minute, sometimes stepping back and saying, what does the other side really need? What does the other side really want? What are their motivations? Can't always tell, right? I'm a big fan of Chris Voss, as many of you know. Inside the CRE Pro course, we talk about negotiation tactics. And some of those can be simplistic if you're thinking about it in a very linear fashion. But if you think about negotiation as a many stacked, let's just say a cake, right? They've got these really great seven layered Mexican cakes or Italian cakes, sometimes people call them. So they've got many different layers to them, and part of what we do as commercial real estate agents and brokers is help pull off each layer of that cake. So at the end of the day, you're saying, look, here are the 7 elements that each transaction or this transaction and this deal. Here's the 7 elements that are important to you, to them, and here's what will get it put together. Here's how we can do a deal. So it's important to identify those early. Make sure that you are on the same page with your client. Reach out to the broker on the other side of the transaction and make sure that they know vaguely where you're coming from. Right? You want to have you want to maintain as much of the secrecy behind the true motivations of your clients sometimes, because there's some confidentiality there that you want to make sure you preserve, but at the same time expressing the general sentiment of the deal that you're trying to put together. All right, cool. This is cool. So I've just tried setting up this week a a relay, right? So from Restream, I'm stewing in. I'm bringing it over, bringing the feed over from Zoom, and then it's going to LinkedIn Live. So I appreciate you guys hanging with me on this one. We try to air these once a day. It's an AMA, Ask Me Anything. Check, check, check. I don't think this one works. That sucks.